Hello and welcome to the latest ATTA webinar. Today we welcome back the Kenya Tourism Board for their second webinar in the current series, with this webinar focusing on the Magical Kenya Signature Experience Collection. As always, there will be the opportunity for questions and answers at the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions, please simply type these into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and I'll pose these to the panelists. Presenting today, we have Alan Dixon from Let's Go Uniglobe Travel, a safari and travel company established over 40 years ago in Nairobi, specializing in small personalized groups with a large emphasis on sustainable tourism. Our second presentation will be from Ben Kelliher from Tribe Watersports. Over the last 8 years, Ben has spent his time designing the world's finest water sports facility and is proud to run Tribe Watersports in his childhood home of Watamu. So welcome to both Alan and Ben. As usual, this presentation is being recorded and the recording will be available shortly after the presentation. So I will now hand over to Alan, who will be kicking off with his presentation. Alan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everybody. So I'm here to talk about the remarkable Kenya with a humanitarian touch, our Magical Kenya signature experience. So it starts with a day one, arriving in Nairobi off your international flight at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and transfer to the Fairview Hotel, where you will basically drop off your bags and freshen up, and then proceed onto your humanitarian project for that day, that morning, should we say. This will take you through some different projects with different options, basically, helping children from disadvantaged backgrounds, or helping mothers turn their lives around and setting them up for independent, sustainable futures based on new small businesses and life skills, or small-scale farming with chicken rearing, etc. Later in the day, or around midday, return back to the Fairview to relax for the afternoon. The Fairview, sorry, I'll just skip that map. I'll come back to that in a minute. The Fairview is a 4-star plus hotel, 127 rooms, part of the City Lodge Hotel group from South Africa, and considered, it's a long established hotel, considered very safe, 2 kilometers from the city center, landscaped with mature gardens, Wi-Fi, business center, fitness center, etc. So that's spend the night there, and then next day depart for Laikipia. So I'm going to go back to the map, I'm sorry. Just so that you can have a quick look at the map. We start at A, we drive out on an 8-lane superhighway to Thika, and through then pineapple plantations, avocado plantations, down to across the Tana River, which rises really in the Aberdare Mountains and Mount Kenya range, and flows all the way down through Kenya, providing a lot of our hydroelectric power, and continue on up through Kikuyu, small holdings of tea and coffee and home produce, to Nanyuki on the western side of Mount Kenya, which is towards B. Well, it's more like where the M for mountain is, and past Kenya's highest mountain, Mount Kenya, which is 5,200 meters or 18,000 feet, which straddles the equator and is snow-capped. Then continue over the foothills and drop down into the more arid country to Lewa Wildlife Conservancy, which is shown as B here on the map, a great wildlife area one of the best black and white rhino sanctuaries, and a great area for protected endangered gravy zebra, as well as 400 different species of birds. Then continue with a picnic on to Ngwesi. Quite a long quite a long drive that day, probably a drive of about 7 hours. So then just arrive at Ngwesi Lodge and spend the evening just relaxing on this lodge, it's on a small hill. The lodge is built on a small hill, and I'll give you a bit more information about it. Ngwesi is a community conservancy, and some people might ask, what is a community conservancy? Well, the Laikipia Maasai own the Ngwesi Ranch, and the makeup of the community, with a few thousand households, they have their land kept as a community land and shared and not divided up. And they have given an area of approximately 8,600 hectares, or 21,000 acres, to conservation and tourism development, as that is another way of bringing in the good dollar income for themselves. In 1996, funds were raised and a great eco lodge built, one of the first actually. And it's built, as I was saying, on a fairly small hill with great outlook, as you can see a little bit from that little deck there. You look for miles, you don't see another light or anything. And they employ all the local staff from the, should we say, Ngwesi Group Ranch. And they have a team of security rangers, approximately 20, overseeing security and monitoring and protecting people and wildlife. In 2002, black rhino were introduced, and wildlife have steadily moved back into the area. Really, the model, sorry, excuse me a minute. The model of Ngwesi is profits from the lodge and donations go into supporting a range of community projects at the same time, ensuring that the environment is managed sustainably. It supports the communities. There are 6 main Maasai villages in the group ranch, and income from the lodge go into helping develop the schools, improve the health centers, help buy additional land to ease some of their grazing pressure, and empowering women in beadwork within, for local sale and for export. The lodge itself is built of old logs, which were sort of collected up from the ranch and used to make the posts and poles for the uprights in the lodge. And the walls were made of sort of mud walls with open windows. So you sleep on like decks, but the roof is a thatch of reed thatch, very attractive reed thatch. And it's quite a simple building, but very practical in many ways. There are 6 banders and a swimming pool, plus a public area, and it's a great place for even children. Activities involve superb wildlife viewing from the lodge, looking down on a lovely waterhole, bush drives, sundowners, bush breakfasts, visits to the rhino sanctuary, visiting the Maasai cultural boma, which is like the local village, to learn about traditional hunting techniques, honey collecting, enjoying local music and dancing. And those arrangements can be, arranged on day 2, or day 2 is really spent getting there. Day 3 will be doing those activities. Then, then day 4, you would then move on to El Karama Lodge on El Karama Ranch in Laikipia. It's a drive of after breakfast, you would depart on a drive of approximately 2.5 hours. and drive back up onto the Laikipia Plateau. El Karama Ranch is 5,600 hectares or 14,000 acres, considered Laikipia's leader in wildlife adventures and family travel in Kenya. It is a private conservancy since 1964 with a passion for supporting biodiversity through innovation, holistic management, and long-term strategies that focus on sustainability. A wildlife safari here is so much more than a holiday. The privacy, the freedom, the authentic feeling of a lodge that offers every comfort without feeling detached from surroundings. It's a winner of many eco-tourism awards. It has 8 beautiful cottages built for rustic luxury. It's home to 4 of the Big Five. I hope people know what the Big Five are. And several endangered other indigenous species found in Laikipia, including reticulated giraffe, gravy zebra, gerenuk, and the Laikipia hartebeest. Guests contribute to conservation by staying here. It's got great activities for kids again. It's got a bush school, it's got a river. The owner, Murray Grant, is a great sculptor, and he has his studio right next door to the lodge. And they have horse riding, walking, etc. So the afternoon of day 4 can be spent doing some of those activities. And also day 5, you have a full day doing that, as well as some good game driving as well. And then day 6 would be returning back to Nairobi, in your own time, a drive of approximately 5 hours. So you could either leave late morning, stopping off somewhere for lunch, or again, it just depends a bit on what the arrangements are moving forward on from there. There's no price published on this itinerary at the moment, partly because of the fact we don't know what's going to happen in different seasons. And so really, the best thing is to actually email us and ask for a price for a particular time, particular number of people. And I think that really comes to the end of my presentation. Sorry, I may have made it rather quick, but I hope I made it clear enough. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Alan, and great presentation. As we say, this is being recorded, and also if you do want some more information about El Karama, they have actually already hosted a dedicated webinar on the ATTA platform, so just search for that one on our YouTube channel. So we'll now head down to the coast and hand over to Ben. So Ben, if you'd like to share your screen and get your presentation up and ready, we'll hand over to you to take us through Tribe Watersports. So Ben, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Chris. Cool, welcome everybody. So as Chris already introduced me, one second, sorry. Yes, I own and run Tribe Watersports. So I'm going to be talking about our stand-up paddleboarding excursion. Let's go. Yeah. So as I said, I own and run Tribe Watersports here in Watamu. We've been operating for the last 8 years. Watamu is my sort of childhood home. So I always knew it as an opportunity for fantastic water sports offerings. Not only do we do the stand-up paddleboarding, but we do kite surfing and wakeboarding, water skiing, and for all those activities do sort of lessons, rental, guided tours, that sort of thing. We're actually the only kite surfing school outside of the UK to be affiliated with the British Kite Surfing Association. Requires like a rigorous inspection to make sure that we're working to a professional standard of safety as well as delivery. And as a result of us being one of the reasons we've been invited to talk today, we are Kenya's signature experience for our stand-up paddleboardings with dolphins excursions. We are an independent operator, so we partner with sort of all the hotel offerings in Watamu. So that's everything from sort of backpacker all the way up to 5-star accommodation. So cater for everybody there. So I thought I would just start off with a sort of a talk through as to how the excursion works, and what you could expect on any given a day if you were doing an excursion. So it's an early morning meet, and we try and get going as early as possible. The reason behind this is to try and get out on the water before any of the other sort of operators get out there. So we have sort of special permission from the marine park to do an early departure to get out to see the dolphins. So it's a 7 o'clock departure from Ocean Sports, which is one of the sort of popular resorts in the area here, where coffee and tea is available beforehand. We will always do any pre-excursion training if people haven't paddleboarded before on the morning. We generally tend to recommend people that haven't done any stand-up paddleboarding before to maybe do a lesson before coming on the actual dolphin paddleboarding excursion. Just gives you a little bit more confidence. But realistically, the excursion itself isn't so much about the paddleboarding, but more about the interaction with the dolphins themselves. And once you've departed, then there's like an excursion introduction from the guide as the boat travels north along the Kenyan coastline. So early morning, you occasionally tend to find that the dolphins will actually follow the traditional sailing dhows out to sea. And so we tend to head up north as those guys tend to head out earlier than us. We'll sail past Ocean Sports at that sort of time in the morning. So sort of try and catch up with them and see if anything's going on behind them. And if no luck there, we'll turn and head back down south. There's a large rock on the south end side of Watamu Beach called Whale Rock, and you quite often find them down there. So we're doing this on a boat to start off with. We because we're covering such a large area, we start off the excursion on a boat with the paddle boards on the roof of the boat, and then once we find the dolphins, we turn the boat off. And we found over the years of doing this excursion that just by having complete silence without the boat engine running, it really makes the dolphins feel that much more comfortable with what's going on, and they have control of the situation. You know, it doesn't matter if you're an Olympic athlete, you're not going to be able to keep up with a dolphin on a paddleboard. So you know, if they don't want to be around, they'll disappear, and if they're interested, they'll come up to you and spend some time looking at you. So we spend as much time as people want with the dolphins. You know, you are doing a physical activity as such, so you know, generally sort of half an hour, 45 minutes tends to be enough. And then we finish off the excursion with a visit to the coral gardens within the actual marine park, just to put a little bit of icing on the cake and go and do some snorkeling with some of the marine life we have here. You can generally expect the excursion to finish around 10:30, 11 o'clock, but we don't put any time restraints to it. For us, it's about the customer having a good time and making sure they get the most out of it. That also relates to how long it can take to find the dolphins. We have on numerous occasions taken as 5 minutes, come straight over the reef and there they are, and sometimes it can take 45 minutes to an hour even to find the dolphins. So that also does affect the timing of the actual trip itself. So there is a video that we're going to share with you, or you'll be able to have access to on our YouTube channel. But because it doesn't work very well with Zoom, we decided not to put it up. But I have got some photos of the excursions here. So this was one of the best mornings we ever had. You can see the water's absolutely glassy flat. Dolphins are really, what we found and why this is such a special experience, the dolphins are genuinely interested in what we're doing. So they are very interactive. They'll really come and swim right up next to the board and have a proper look at you and see what's going on. So just a couple of our favorite shots as such of the dolphins. The dolphins that you can see in this picture here are what we call Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphins. It is your sort of Hollywood dolphin as such. That most people have seen a dolphin would probably have seen one of these. And this is the most common dolphin that we will see, or that you would see, and these are the ones that we will stop and get in the water for. So just a couple of shots for you there. And also, if you've got small kids with you on the trip and they're not fit enough to be able to get on a paddleboard, it's actually one of my mate's kids that came out with us when they came to visit. The boards are capable of carrying 2 people at once, as you may have seen in some of those pictures before. So the kids can get on the front of the boards, and it's a really breathtaking experience for them also. So, as already talked about, the Indo-Pacific bottlenose Norfolk dolphins, there are our more common dolphin that we have in this area. We have a resident group of about 140 along the Watamu coastline, and this gives us fantastic sort of success rate figures in terms of the number of times we see them. Last season we had 100% success rate in spotting dolphins, and that's really why this is such a signature experience for Kenya, because we're pretty much guaranteeing that you're going to see it. And we don't guarantee it obviously because they're wild animals, we can't say that they're going to be here, but we're talking about 98 to 100% success rate in all the trips that we've done. The pods that we tend to interact with are sort of 15 to 20 strong. They're a very healthy breeding population actually, so there generally tends to be quite a lot of young with them as well. As I said, there's about 140 with them living along this sort of Watamu coastline. Moving on into that middle picture then, we do have humpback dolphins here. They're very much more of an inshore dolphin. However, they are endangered and they're very, very rare. And we've probably seen them 10, 15 times, but they are here. We do believe there is a resident population of about 8 of them. So, I mean, much smaller figures, and they're very, very shy. So if we were to come across a dolphin of this type and we were out doing an excursion, we wouldn't put the paddle boards in the water. It's something that we just sort of want to make sure we're giving them their distance, and they generally tend to spend a lot of time underwater as well, so they can be quite difficult to paddle with when we tried in the past, just because they spend a minute and a half underwater as such, and so they're popping up quite far away from the paddle boards, and it just makes the whole experience unenjoyable, and it's quite evident that they're not that interested in us, so we don't want to bother them. And then moving on to finally sort of one of the sort of more exciting marine mammals that we have in this area are the humpback whales, which we're just coming into that season now. We don't do paddleboarding excursions with the humpbacks. You can see, and they might be able to see, and I'm not sure how good the quality of the photo is there for you, but I did try it. That's me out there last summer trying to paddleboard with humpback whales. But those things can move. So trying to keep up with a humpback whale on a paddleboard is a no-go. Still, the humpback whales are here at the moment. I was actually out kite surfing with them this morning, funny enough. Unfortunately, forgot to take my GoPro, but we'll try again tomorrow. For the humpback whales sighting, we do what we call an ocean experience. So we're taking a much larger boat out to sea and going to check out the humpback whales. These guys are coming up from the Antarctic, and they're calving this time of year. As I said, we're just coming into the season now for it. We're really, over the last 2 or 3 days, we're really starting to see a lot of the numbers increasing of these whales coming through. I mean, you can actually see them breaching from the beach in Watamu. If you're sitting and having a coffee at like Ocean Sports or Hemingway's or Medina Palms, just some of the resorts we have here, you can actually see these whales from the cafeterias and such. It's quite an exciting time of year down here in Watamu for that. Moving on. So a little bit about Watamu and the place. If you're sort of looking to put people to stay here, Watamu is sort of an old fishing village that's sort of turned into a chic tourism destination. It's actually been on numerous occasions voted one of the top 10 beaches in the world. It's a designated UN area of outstanding natural beauty, as well as being a Kenya Wildlife Services National Marine Park. As you can see from the aerial photo I've got here, white powder sandy beaches and the bluest water, and it's got loads of coral and reef life out there, loads of marine excursions apart from dolphin stuff to be had as well. Scuba diving's fantastic. We have 2 main seasons. We have the Kuzi and the Kaskazi. Kaskazi runs from, these are 2 trade winds. So Kaskazi runs from December till March, or from November till April even. It could be extended to, I guess. And that's the main season that we have the dolphin excursions. Kuzi, which we're in now, which that would run from June till September. That's when we have much rougher seas and much stronger winds, and when we find our humpback whales coming through. Along the back of Watamu, we have the Sukoki Forest. Within the forest, there's numerous different creatures that are, only found within that forest. Goldenback elephant shrew to be one to be named of, but there are also elephants in the forest as well. So you can be on the beach one afternoon and actually head into the forest and have sundowners watching elephants in the evening. So quite lucky to have that so close by. And then our nearest airport is Malindi International Airport, which is only a 20-minute drive away, and that connects with international arrivals from Nairobi. Really, there are a few charter flights coming in from Europe into there, and there are talks of them turning it into a bigger international airport. Alternative, there's Mombasa Airport, which does receive direct international flights from the likes of Emirates and Turkish and Qatar, and that's a 2.5-hour drive away. It is a nice drive, so although it is on the longer side, it's not a terrible drive to do. To get to Watamu. Obviously, with in these days, it's nice to have a little bit of a chat about our environmental and social impacts. So we actually work alongside the locally run Watamu Marine Association, and because we're out there most days doing our excursions, we assist in the surveying and reporting of marine mammals as part of the Kenyan Marine Mammal Network. We promote a no swimming policy with dolphins. It's a very common question that we get with when we're doing this excursion. You cannot swim with the dolphins. It's invasive to them. It has potential risks involved with it, and that sort of fits into part of our responsible smart cetacean viewing policy as well. So basically, keeping our distance with the boats, letting the dolphins come to us rather than chasing them down. The smart cetacean viewing policy is sort of a globally recognized formula for watching marine mammals as such. And then although we actually have our own boats as a water sports school, we prefer to do these excursions with the local boat operators, the community operators. So we hire their boats and take out their captains and their tour guides with us as well. And just because they've got more experience out on the open ocean where the water sports are more on the inshore side. And it just adds to the experience by having a little bit of a local connection to it. So just some of our sort of environmental and social impacts there. So as I mentioned earlier, we had 100% sightings on all our trips in 2020, 2018, 2017, and 2015. And those years, the missing in between, we're talking like 95% success. It's one of the reasons we add in that coral garden visit at the end. Obviously, you don't want to be sitting on a boat for an hour and come home disappointed. You will always get some form of experience out of the excursion itself. Obviously, the dolphins being the main reason for wanting to come on that excursion, but it's not a complete write-off. We do give it a nice tick at the end with the visit to the coral gardens to do a snorkeling trip as well. But as I said, although we can't guarantee it, it is very, very likely that you will see dolphins on our excursions. And every review we've had from every customer has been a 5-star review. It is a very unique experience. I generally tend to deliver these excursions all personally, just because it's that much fun. I'm still not bored of it. I've been doing it for 5 years. It's amazing. So if you want to know any more information about us, as I already said at the beginning, we do kites.
Oh, it looks like we've lost Ben.
Yeah, maybe he's had a park up.
Could be.
Information there.
Oh, there he is. You're back, Ben.
Hello.
We lost you for a moment there, Ben, but you're back now.
Oh dear.
Okay. Ben, do we still have you?
You have me. How long ago have I been gone?
We just lost you briefly at the end there. I think you were just wrapping up.
Hello? Maybe not.
Okay, I think we've got some challenges with Ben, but if anyone does have any questions for either Alan or Ben, thank you to both of them for fantastic presentations, taking us through 2 very different areas of Kenya. If anyone does have any questions, please do type these into the chat box, sorry, the Q&A box, and I will pose them to either Alan or to Ben just now. If we don't have any questions, which looks like to be the case, I will say thank you to both of our presenters. Thank you to all of our attendees. One quick question that's popped up. Ben's contact details. Mira, you will be getting a follow-up, which will have both Ben and Alan's contact details, along with some additional information. So that will be coming through in the next, hopefully within the next few hours or early tomorrow. So thank you to both of our presenters. Thank you to the Kenya Tourism Board for co-hosting that the webinar with us. And we look forward to seeing you all again soon at another webinar sometime in the near future. So Ben, Alan, thank you both very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye then.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.